ונעמוד התפילה, ספר בעל שם טוב, אויס קכ"ס. This is from the Tzavos Arivash. The שלוש ספרים נפתוחם בראש השנה וכולי, ספרים רצוליים הדיבורים. What are the three books that get opened in the beginning of every cycle to see what's going to be the continuation of this development? How is this human soul going to evolve? So it says, what are we really talking about? We're talking about three different types of speech. That's why they're called books. There are three different types of speech that a human being can manifest during the year. And so when it comes to Rosh Hashanah, there's going to be an opening of a new book because he's finishing a cycle. He's going through the process of returning to himself. And now based on how he did that process, he's going to gain access to a different part of his soul. How's that going to manifest, the different part of its soul? It's going to manifest in different words. Then we know that something changed. And so it says, Svarim, the books, Vatzalayim Diburim, types of speech. Tzadikim Gemurim, those who are righteous, Em Shekol Diburim B'divrei Kedusha B'Tfilah B'Torah. They never speak without being aware that the spirit is being created in this form, that we are giving the Shekhinah a face. So whenever they speak, they're always aware that they're creating a face for the Shekhinah. So what face am I creating? How does it look? Is it going to be appealing? Is life going to be better after this speech? Am I making life more desirable? Am I making the Shekhinah look more beautiful in the eyes of the spirit that lives with her? And so tzaddikim, all their speech is attached to the ultimate purpose. והם ליחד הדיבר בעולם המחשבה, שבכל תפילה ודירתו הצורך להמה שמייחד בבד העולם הדיבר בעולם המחשבה, אם הוא בכוונה. So a person speaks, his intention should be in his speech because he wants to have a spiritual impact. Speech is a spiritual tool. He doesn't want to speak from his imagination, that just his brain is using his lips in order to create content. But he wants all his organs to agree with what's being said so that he can feel the effect of how he is formulating the spirit. He can feel the satisfaction of the spirit as it's being formulated in this way. And this unites the world of thought with the world of speech. This unites the brain with the heart. The heart is the one that's feeling. The brain is the one that's creating the content that's being spoken. If the brain is aware of the needs of the heart, the brain speaks for the heart and the heart feels the joy of what the brain did for her. The brain is like a husband and the heart's like a wife. And then the right speech gets created and the heart rejoices. And so by doing that, he unites these two worlds. These two worlds are supposed to work for the spirit. But when the brain takes charge of the organs, it takes charge of the mouth, and it can say things that are offensive to the heart. The heart feels worse after it heard the words that the brain just used the life force of the heart to say. He took the very energy from the source, and with that he poisoned it. This is why the Satan, the evil inclination, is called the Samach Mem, it's called the poison. Is the divine poison. What's the divine poison? The divine poison is when the demon uses your own energy to hurt you. That's the divine poison. Those words weren't good for anyone. Who said them? Why did he say them? An impulse, but you're using the energy of the spirit. This belongs to someone. You're spending the life force on something. So the life force is being invested in a way that is poisonous to the one who is actually being generous enough to allow the life force to be used. And so when he has the right intention in the words, he is uniting the two worlds so that they no longer hurt each other, so that the brain will no longer create pain in the heart. And so that's to be meyached the world of speech with the world of thought. You must believe that this is what you're doing, because if you don't believe it, you're for sure not doing it. You're uniting because you're saying with intention, you're saying with desire, you're saying things that are healthy for the ears that are hearing them. ואף על פי שמספר ואינו אצלה בקשו זה משהו מספר, אם כל זה בסיריסא דלסתא שהוא מייחד בו אל המדיב בו אל המחשוב, בזה יגורם למעלה גם כן כזה. It says, it's not about whether I'm going to be answered for my prayer. It's about me praying from the heart. I want to unite the worlds. I want to help the spirit. I want to help the yichud to take place already, where everything is going to work together and nothing is going to work against each other. I want to get there. What's my part? I'm going to unite my brain with my heart. They're going to work together, not against each other. Then, if I do this in the mashal, which is my individual experience, then it happens more in the nimshal, which is the collective experience, which is the higher world, which is HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Shechina. What we feel, that's represented by our heart, everything we feel, the Shechina is feeling. That's why the Shechina is always crying. Klani Miroshe, Klani Mizroya. I feel their pain. She is the one that feels. And what we think, what we perceive, what we know, this is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is the Creator. And the same goes the opposite. What I imagine, the glamour that I see, and therefore I want, but really it doesn't feel good in my body, it's just something I'm imagining, that's the competition of the Shechina. That's the female evil inclination. She's called Lilith. And the mind, when it imagines and it takes charge like it's the master, it pretends to know, that's the Samach Mem, that's the Satan. The imagination that took charge and is going against the spirit, that's the evil inclination himself. He is now the master. And so the real feeling and the real thinking, which is HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Shechina, have a competition, which is the imagining, the imagined thinking and the imagined feeling. It looks nice. It doesn't feel nice. It looks nice, that's the external side, that's the chitzonius. If it looks nice and it doesn't feel nice, that's Lilith. If it feels nice, there's the Shechina there. If it feels nice and it looks nice, that's when the Shechina has the proper glory. That's what we're going to do eventually. Now, what looks nice usually doesn't feel nice. The people who are busy with their appearance, probably not the nicest people. They haven't realized what's really going on here. They're just busy glamorizing themselves. But when the time will be right, then beauty, external attraction will belong to those who are internally attractive. That's the nature, that's the Shechina. That's why Sarah Imenu was the most beautiful woman in the world, because she represented the Shechina. It wasn't about being glamorous. It was a modest beauty, but it was the most beautiful. And so that's the opposite of Lili. That's called Eshes Chayil. And so when he is uniting the world of speech with the world of thought, he is uniting the forces for the collective, for the greater good, so that the world can heal, so that we can see things accurately, so that external beauty represents internal beauty, so that the thinking that we do when we hear logic, that it's really working for the right side. It's helping humanity, it's not hurting humanity. It's the spirit talking, it's not the imagination that took an ideal and now thinks that it's it. It thinks if this ideal will win, it will win, and it has nothing to do with that. It's just a thought. If this Rebbe will be, if everyone will think he's the biggest tzaddik, then I'll have some type of relief. It's imagination, it's just a thought. This has nothing to do with your essence, this has nothing to do with your spirit. If you understood truth, then you know it's beyond all names, it's beyond all places, it's beyond all ideals, it's beyond all worlds. It's the one that creates all that. But if you're holding on to something and only that way, that's the imagination, that's the idol. And then based on that idol, everything is not possible. How do you know what he really intended? How do you know what's the right way? How do you know how to follow whatever it is you're imagining? You're just imagining that this is the right way to follow it. There's no way to confirm that imagination. There's nothing safe about that. And so as soon as the imagination is the master, that's already the devil. It doesn't matter what the imagination says. It doesn't matter how nice he makes himself seem. But I care about this and I care about that. I don't care what you care about. If you're imagining reality, then that's the evil that we are trying to escape over here. That's the source of all exile. Reality cannot be imagined. We shouldn't attempt. We should learn how to feel safe without, because that fake safety that the imagination wants to give you, that's the depth of being unsafe. That's how hell gets formed. When we live in that imagined ideal and suddenly reality comes knocking at our door. Hey, you weren't listening, you weren't seeing, you thought you knew already. Your body was screaming and yelling, but no one was listening because they already had decided what it all means. There was no intelligence because the brain took off, hijacked the entire organism and started abusing it. And so we need to unite the worlds in order for the higher worlds to unite. And so he says it's not about getting his prayer answered, it's about uniting the worlds. A person that speaks only with that intention, he is a tzaddik gomer, he is completely righteous, which means he has no intention for anything else. His ego is not in charge. It's not about what he imagines right or wrong. He knows that there's a bigger reality, that if we fix that, we won't have any problems. We won't have to make ourselves feel safe. We are really going to be safe. We won't have to pretend and lie to ourselves that we're safe. We're actually going to be safe. And so he's concerned with the bigger picture. How do we get to that destination? וזה שם רבנו ז"ל, אין לנו לספר אלא מתוך כובד ראש. רצלם שיחשב שמעשה חוסר לוי, חוסר למעלה גם כן. So you stand to pray, it's not from kalisosh, it's not from feeling lightheaded as if the world is an easy place. It's mekovidosh, it's realizing the seriousness of what we're interacting with. This is the source of real prayer. We're interacting with something that's so infinitely large, we can do with it so many things. One of the proofs of how far we can go with this is to see how terrible we can make it. This just demonstrates how far in each direction we can go with this potential. We can even take it to a place where humans are literally killing each other. Like you would think that that should be an illegal maneuver in this type of arrangement, that the one that created it would somehow put some type of a protective mechanism that it can never get to this level. No, but even to this level it can go. It can go in any direction, into any place, into any level, if we just learn how to master it and to go there. It will go there. It can become extremely painful, excruciatingly painful. It can become cruel. This is just a demonstration of how far this can go. And of course, Muda Tov Meruba, if we take it in places where it was intended to go, if we take it towards the pleasures that life was designed for, of course the pleasures are bigger than the pains. Humanity has simply forgotten how to go there. They've forgotten who they are. They've forgotten the nature of the spirit. They're living completely in their imagination. The imagination has become a horrible source of interpretation. The imagination is interpreting reality based on what it sees on the TV, based on what it reads in the news. It thinks that that's reality. And so what happens? As soon as there is any tension, as soon as there is any evil, it spreads like wildfire. the imagination gets completely taken over by this, what's happening here and now. The imagination doesn't realize the vast access the intelligence has to how it can draw reality. The imagination is basing today based on yesterday. The imagination is tied to yesterday. The intelligence can draw today something completely different. It's not bound by yesterday whatsoever. And so there's something here in the design that we are trying to address in order to heal this organism. There's something wrong with how it operates, and we want to heal it. And so we come with a serious mind when we come to interact and to ask for change. We come with the realization that there is a tremendous disaster, catastrophe, that took place a long time ago and is still evolving. Humanity is simply not wise enough to realize what it's suffering from, but it's certainly suffering. וכן כששאל ושלמה לא יפסיק, דהיינו כשמספר לכוון אז הקדוש ברוך הוא מספר באלו מדי בליבו הספרס בכל עולם אז נפלו גם כן הספרס. וזהו שלא בת למדי כשיש לו, לך שבספר שלו איך הוא מספר בכוון הגדול. It says this is the pride of the universe, that a human being can realize that his organs are supposed to cooperate. The designer himself is rejoicing. He's having himself a little victory dance. Hey, look at my humans. After all these years, there's someone that's trying to unite the parts. And so even if a human being comes up to him and says, hey, how you doing? Shalom Aleichem. He's not available right now. He's doing more important work. It doesn't matter how that's going to make the other person feel. We are concerned about how it's going to make the source feel when we neglect a moment where something healthy is taking place and we're getting another distraction, being busy with something else. The frustration that would cause is simply beyond what we are allowed to invite. And so this is the work that the Shekhinah is waiting for. Someone needs to attach her to the source of life so that she can receive what's hers. She's in a desperate situation. She's literally feeling the pain of every single individual and every single animal, every single creature. And she needs the intelligence, and we are her antennas. If we don't work, if somehow something is stuck in us, she doesn't get the intelligence required to liberate herself. We are the souls that can do that. We are the most intelligent the universe has produced. We're supposed to know what we're doing a little, at least. We're supposed to be at least thinking about the right direction. And yet some humans were so cruel that they took it upon themselves to erase from us that memory, to make us believe, to hide from us the true nature of who we are. Why? So that we can be exploited, so that we can do services that are not even in our interest. We can work and work and work and work and have nothing to show for it. Other than, oh, we're still alive. Well, that's nice, but life just happens. Life doesn't require that much work. So what's all this work about? Who is it for? What's the ultimate goal here? What are we building? The mind, the imagination. The master is enslaving the masses, and he's not even paying them their due. They have nothing to show for it. He takes their best years. And then when they're tired and exhausted, they get to rest a little if they've worked really hard. And if not, they still need to hustle in order to continue existing on a land that's been here all along, and food that's being supplied by nature. It's because we've forgotten the spirit. We've forgotten how to cooperate. We've forgotten that we're supposed to work together, to be one, to love each other, to be there for each other, to know how to heal relationships, how to heal ourselves, how to unite within and without. We've forgotten the nature of how to do life. And so when he's finally saying these words, the designer of life is proud in him. There's a pride that's spreading throughout the world. Wow. Finally, the most intelligent are finally showing intelligence. The project is succeeding. It says it comes through all the worlds. So this person is going to feel the pride of the Creator in him. As he's uniting the worlds, he's going to feel the pride of the Creator. He says, be careful when you feel that pride. Don't you let your imagination fool you to think that he's the master and he made this happen. He will come there too. Ah, you see? I knew what I'm doing. You? Who are you? The one that was thinking? Remember how many theories you had and they were all wrong? Go away. This is not you making it happen. This is the one that made you happen, making himself happen. Thank you for your cooperation. Please don't stand in my way. And so the imagination is always ready to take charge. When he fails, he goes aside and he says, oh, maybe I have to rethink my theory. Maybe I have to change my opinions. But then as soon as there's a win, it doesn't matter how many fails he had, as soon as there's a win, he is right there in charge again. You see? I know what I'm talking about. You have to listen to me. I understand the world. If you do everything I tell you, you'll be safe. Yeah, right. We've been there, done that. How many times? It's not how it works. Life comes from someone else. You don't have life to give. You just can imagine. Do your job and imagine good things. Help the world with your drawings. Heal the organs with your realizations. Don't you go create conflict in there. That's no good for no one. Don't you draw those stories that make all the organs get upset. And so even when there is a big win, even when we're doing something that's valuable to all the heavens and all the earths, still even then, beware of your imagination as it tries to gain power again and say, I'm the master. So that's tzaddikim. בינונים הם עושים מן היודן שבתפילוסם מכוונים גם לזה, שיעשה הקדוש ברוך הוא בקשוסם, מה שהם צריכים לצורך העולם הזה, והם תלויים ועומדים עד יום כיפורים, וצוליים בעולם המחשוב הנקרא יום הכיפורים. So he says the ones in the middle, they also pray, but they would really like to get what they pray for. And so their speech is not so clear that it's not going to cause damage. There's some ego. There's some imagination. There's some force here that's not fully realizing the nature of the truth. And so it wants the big prize, but it also wants the little prize. And so those people are hanging in the balance until Yom Kippur. He says, what does it mean, hanging in the balance until Yom Kippur? He says, Yom Kippur represents the world of thought. These people are hanging in the balance until we're going to verify their thoughts. We have to verify what is it that's driving them to ask for the needs. These personal needs that they feel they need to have. What are those personal needs and why do they want them? This is what it's going to depend on. We have to check the intention of the heart. If the reason why he's asking for his individual gain is because he wants to help the greater good, So then this means that ultimately his real intention is for the greater good. And so even though he wants his individual gain, but he wants the individual gain for the greater good, so he goes lekav schus, he goes with the tzaddikim. He says in Kavanos, he's asking for things in this world. But the reason for it is he wants to be available to do the service of the Spirit. He also gets life. He is also uniting the world of speech with the world of thought. Even though he's uniting already through a reroute, he's not going directly uniting the world of speech with the world of thought, but ultimately he's using the world of speech, which is the dibur, because he wants to heal the world of thought, he wants to heal the spirit. And so his intention was for something in this world. But the reason for why he wants something in this world is to help the other world. So he unites the worlds. And so he's nechtav l'chaim. He gets to be written in the book of life. Ois Kuf Lamed from the Kesser Shem Tov. Adam, the human soul, when he attaches himself to speech, to words, to syllables, to spirit, the words themselves are going to do the work for him. The words are spiritual entities. The words work. Where do the words go to work? They have a special office, these words. Every word that I say goes into his office. He's going to go now do his work. Where's his office? Inside the soul. The soul prepares a special heichal, a special office, and in there goes the speech, and now the speech is changing the soul, changing the body, changing the organs. He's doing work. And so if I say the words with the right intention, with the right desire, then these words are going to do work for me. They're going to be meilitz tov, they're going to say good things about me. Inside me, the best place where you want to hear good things about you. And so when I say the words right, they're going to do the work for me. They're going to be living spirits. They're going to be angels that are going to protect me. The way to get to such words is that you have no intention when you say the words. You're just trying to express thought into speech. You want to get to the most accurate thought that represents the depth of your heart and to get that somehow into a speech. This is the goal. And so when you want to unite those thoughts, when you want to unite those parts, the world of speech with the world of thought, and you have no other intention, so then those words are going to be the most alive words you've ever said. And they're going to go straight into the soul, into their office, and start working for you. This is what it means. 3 books are opened in Rosh Hashanah, like we just said before. Sefer Hiloshen Dibur, a book means types of speech. The ones who are righteous, who want to unite the worlds of speech with the world of thought, they get life immediately. Why do they get life immediately? Because their words are working for them. They're getting life from their own words. That's why they get life. Those who are echad b'peh ve'echad b'leiv, they can't get life from their words are dead. But those who speak and unite the speech with thought, they are accurate speakers, they get life from their words. So the nichtovim la'alta l'chaim, they're going straight to the book of life. Baal Shem is dapkim la'alta l'chaim, they go immediately to life and they attach themselves to it and they live. Those in the middle, who they want to do the unity, they want that life should be better. But when they pray, they want the prayer to be answered. So it waits for Yom Kippur, which is when the world of thought gets revealed. Right? Yom Kippur represents Bina, understanding, the world of thought, the depth of the heart comes out. And then, when that depth comes out, we get forgiveness, because when the heart is revealed, then it forgives for everything that was wrong. When the heart is in pain and it's closed, it cannot forgive. It's too tight. It's still upset. It's still hurting from what took place. So when the heart is open, it can forgive. And Yom Kippur, then we reveal the thought. And then we see what was the thought. But here he says it a little differently. Before we said that, what does it mean that it waits for Yom Kippur, that it gets revealed? What is the true nature of their intention? Did they want to do their physical need in order to get to a greater purpose that's related to the collective need? Or are they so absent-minded, are they so stuck in their imagination that they don't realize that the collective is in big trouble? They don't realize that there's a much bigger problem than whatever problem it is they think they're facing. And so, before it said, this is the distinction that is we're waiting till Yom Kippur to find out. Is the thought about your personal need that's for your personal purpose? Or is this thought about the collective need that needs you to have your personal needs? And so, here he says, we wait for the day of Yom Kippur when all the thoughts get revealed. Because what happens when all the thoughts get revealed? Yesh lechol machshava aliyah. He says, when the thoughts get revealed, we find out that, of course, if he wants something for his personal life, it's because he wants the collective to heal. He is the collective. Why else would he want it? And so Yom Kippur has revealed the depth of his connection to the greater truth. We see the nature of reality, and then we know that everything that he desires is because he is part of the collective that desires life, and therefore he was created, and therefore he has needs, and so everything is tied into that. Yom Kippur, this truth gets automatically revealed, he says. It's not that we're going to see what this person was thinking. No. Every person thinks this way. He just, depending on how much his heart is revealed, he knows that this is the truth. So when the heart gets revealed, we know that this is the truth. Then they get also their personal prayer. And also, they get to unite the worlds. So even though it wasn't as direct, it was waiting for a revelation, but eventually when the revelation happens, also the prayer gets fulfilled. First Kuf Lamed Aleph from the Likutei Amorim. A person should think of himself as nothing. What does it mean he's nothing? It doesn't mean that he's physically nothing. It doesn't mean that he's spiritually nothing. It means that he has no desires of its own. To think that he's physically nothing or spiritually nothing could actually be dangerous. He's negating his own existence. How's the body going to continue? But no, he's not negating his existence. He's saying everything that exists is the creator. And what am I? I'm a part of his will. I don't have any desires of my own other than to fulfill the will that he has for me. That because of this will I exist. So it says, what does it mean? He should completely forget about his own needs, completely forget about his own situation. Observe the greater situation, see that you are part of something bigger, and see that something bigger as what you are. And see the condition of that something bigger so that you can be concerned for it and that you can speak for it. It needs your speech. So he forgets himself completely. Everything he's asking for is for the greater good, is for the greater being, is for the collective. Through this method he can be beyond time. He can have a prayer that goes for 3 hours and to him it will feel like 5 minutes. Because he wasn't in that part of the brain that can measure time. He transcended that part of the brain and went to the part of the brain where he's tuned into the collective, where he receives life from the collective. And so in that place, time is not felt by the experiencer. The brain in that place doesn't know time. And so when he goes into that place, he's l'malem hazman. Dahaina lo'olam ha'machshava is completely in the world of thought. Shesham hakol shove Chaim v'moves. There's no distinction between life and death. There's just existence in the world of thought. In the world of matter, there's a body that's alive and it's a body that's dead. But in the world of thought, if a thought exists, it's alive, and if it doesn't exist, it just doesn't exist. And so it's beyond time, it's beyond life and death, it's beyond Yam Yabosha, it's beyond the sea and the land. וזה מה שכוסה בזה, אליי דייקת עתיק טליה, שצריכן להפקר את עצמן ולשכח בצירוסן כדי שיבוא אליהם המחשבה ושם הכל שווה. It says by the Kiryas Yamsuf, when they were standing by the sea and the Egyptians were on the other side, he said, Ma titzak elai, why are you screaming to me, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Daber el b'nei Yisrael v'yiso, they have to just go. And so he says, why did he tell them to not pray in such a time? He says they had to transcend completely the world of speech and go totally into the world of thought. And from there, they can get into the sea and change the nature of the sea. Through the world of thought, they can change the nature of the sea. If they can take their entire being, their entire essence, their entire attention into that world. So therefore he says, Elai Daike, says it's not HaKadosh Baruch Hu you should be praying, it's Ba'atika. Atika means that they have to completely forget their personal problem and transcend into the world of thought to see from the perspective of the collective. V'sham hakol shava, over there everything is equal. Mashenken k'shedovik begashmi so'elam hazeh, v'dovik b'schalkas tov v'ra, when he's in the world of the body. In the body, we can create evil for each other. In the body, we have control where we can cause harm not only to ourselves but also to others, and then they can experience life from a perspective that makes them distant from the Creator, even though they themselves didn't do the harm, they themselves didn't cause this. So in the world of body, we can be manipulated, we can be hurt, we can be fooled. In the world of spirit, there's no fooling. Everything is what it is. Everything is experienced as what it is. And so when it's there's a difference between good and evil. It's the 7 days of the week, which is the 7 forces that create. These are the midas. And so when we're in the world of the midas, there's the midas that are working for us, and there's the olam atmiris, there's the midas that can work against us. And so we can use protective mechanisms as defense mechanisms. We can hurt other people with our protective mechanisms. We can hurt ourselves. And so all this comes from the world of the midas, from the attributes when they are not properly aligned, when they're not actually working for the spirit, but rather they're working for the imagination. They're misunderstanding their objective. So how can he be above time if he's busy with the midas? Shesham Ardus Gomer, where it's above time, there's a unity, where all the parts are united as one. This is in the world of intelligence, that's beyond the 7 days of creation. When he remembers himself as an individual, as a separate being, and then he asks for his own needs, how can the Creator dress up as you and say those words as you? How can you enter being the Creator while you believe that you are an individual separate entity that has disconnected itself from the source? So if you're not everyone, then you're of course not the Creator. And if you're not the Creator, then what you say is not so meaningful. But if you speak as everyone, if you remember that you're everyone, then you're speaking for the Shekhinah, and then what you say is binding to the Shekhinah. So if he thinks about himself as a separate self, he can't dress up as him. He has no limits. There's no vessel that can contain him. When he has no individual identity, then he's just representing the collective. And then he speaks as the collective, and what he says is the collective being said, and the collective is being bound, and the collective is going to fulfill. And so this is the distinction between one who prays from ego, prays from imagination, in which case it's not entering, it's not going to be revealed in the way that he intends, and one who identifies as the collective and speaks for the betterment of the collective, and is in his heart is concerned about the greater calamity that humanity is suffering, and not just about his individual portion. And then it's like the Shekhinah herself is speaking through his mouth. Shekhinah medaberes mitoch geroinai. This is the collective need. This is the need of the greater one. This is what she needs and what she wants. And here is the spirit that's actually manifesting that remedy. And this results in healing. This results in pride of the one who created. The pride of the one who created is like the rays of the sun as they reach the earth. When the Creator will be proud of our understanding of Him and how our behavior, the way that it represents Him, then all of life is going to take on an entirely different feel, an entirely different understanding. People will know Him, people will feel Him, people will understand that what I'm feeling is coming from someone. They will want to acknowledge where it's coming from, versus when it doesn't feel good, where you sort of want to hide of who is giving this to you and how is it happening. And so when the time comes and we choose to realize His truth, then all of us will remember that we as individuals don't exist. He is the only one that exists. He exists in us. We will find our way home. We will find our way back to our true nature. And then all suffering will be a thing of the past. We will only know joy and love and pleasure and unity. May it happen now.